G'day guys and gal, and I'm going to be telling you the difference between actually getting a decent haircut and not being a TikTok trend. Because we all know that my channel is one thing, beauty and fashion, when it comes to functioning games. Cool. Yeah, so that's a thing. Don't freak out though. I will be playing 2042. It's just I'm taking opportunity of what's going on in the market. Everyone's trying to find out what the next Battlefield game is going to be, or something that it gives them the same nostalgia or feeling, or even better. And there's a couple of games out there that have somewhat similar experience, but one that's recently, Battlefield2042, has taken the spotlight for the Battlefield experience. And the name of this game is simply BattleBit Remastered. And this game's been around for a while, but it's getting closer and closer to its full release. But you're probably asking yourself still, what is it? To simply put it in a really easy analogy, basically, BattleBit is if Squad decided to have an affair with Roblox behind Battlefield's back. Yeah, I'm going to keep rolling with that one. Unfortunately, the rookie that I am, I haven't actually set it up split tracks, so all you can hear is me mashing my desk so loud with my keyboard and mouse that it sounds possibly like I'm a Kuma, and every time I killed someone, it sounded like they were in the toilet flushing it over proxy VoIP. So today's video is simply me covering BattleBit with the features that are in the game, things that I liked, didn't like, things that could have improvements, or possibility of things that could be removed or added to the game. So hopefully today this gives you a better idea if this is your kind of cup of tea or beverage. Speaking of, as usual, leave the comments down below what kind of beverage you're having today. Because we all know the key to being able to be alive is actually having some fluid. Now, the game is not live technically at the moment, but there's a playtest coming up really soon, so you guys can give it a go. Because don't just take my word for it. I would like to see what you guys make up your own opinion of the game. I don't want you guys to be complete sheep and just agree with everything I say. So, if you have some thoughts and comments about what I think about this game, put them down below. Also, speaking of below, I'm going to definitely put the Discord link in here for the game development, because it's really active and they're always taking advice, ideas, and just general input, given some balance, some bugs, and everything that goes into simply developing a good game. Which apparently this game only has 3 devs, which is no words. It's just simply better than what 2042's managed to do in the time that it has with several studios. So, let's begin this video. Now, for the limited experience that I was able to play this game, there were both European servers, American servers, and Asia. Unfortunately, in my own region, there are no servers yet, which is Oceania. So, hopefully when this game goes live, or gets more traction and more popularity, that will actually become a thing. But playing on 100 ping, I guess it's not too bad, but I did take a full advantage of certain guns that came with a 50 drum mag. But given it was probably the only gun that I really gave a go, I do understand that some of the other guns out there, like the DMRs, probably had way more damage output. But since I'm a W key warrior when it comes to infantry play most of the time, I decided to use what guns could do the best of both worlds. Unfortunately, I didn't get much time to play the vehicles because most of the time when I was playing on the servers, everyone seemed to vote for the infantry-only game modes, which is fine because 2042, let's be real, doesn't really offer a great infantry game experience anymore. But what I did find out was the tanks in this game, you could run both shells and have LMG attached with also limited ammo and supplies as well. I really did enjoy this aspect, having multiple types of shells, and something that I've always wondered if could be a thing in Battlefield games, but there isn't really customization of vehicles at the moment, but the game's still in early development. The game seems to have heavy tanks, IFVs, and some transport vehicles, but one thing that I definitely do much enjoy, which by God should be a feature already in Battlefield. Pipe down, kid. By God, proximity chat is so fun, so useful, and who doesn't like a little bit of banter? And honestly, it's just something I missed so much in, surprisingly, the 90 days and above time that of 2042's been out for. And the customization is great, and also just the amount of things that you can do in this game. This game has the ability to build cover, you can destroy buildings, you can choose different classes, which generally all are pretty straightforward in regards to what they do, and you can easily communicate with the rest of your team. Oh, you also equipped with a sledgehammer, so you can just demolish everything around you, which is pretty great. Speaking of demolish, the destruction in this game is pretty wild, but not completely broken. So you can make opportunities for yourself to pick from different and better angles, as well as seek shelter from vehicles and other incoming fire. But also at the same time, as much destructibility there is, you can rebuild some cover for yourself. Now, some of the mechanics are a little bit more slower pace, but not completely irritating, such as how you get ammo in this game. And fall damage is a little bit obscure. I do think the fall damage and how far you can jump down a cliff or an object can go, and I do find it a bit irritating. If I remember, it does cause you to bleed, which I find a little bit detrimental to trying to do quick and fast plays. But it does look like in this game you can air strafe, but not to the extent or game breaking or very challenging aspects of tracking movement that you would have in Battlefield 4. But let's be real, 2042 and Battlefield 4, the movements in those games were not as intense for tracking when it comes to games like Overwatch. This game also has a test range where you can muck around and just get used to all the gadgets and equipment that you can get. So you can even play around with stuff that you haven't unlocked yet. So you can figure out which ones are worth grinding for, or things that you would like to get a feel for first. And also does actually have a decent shooting range as well, which at the moment I think a lot of people are trying to also do speed runs of the actual test range that you can play on. So you can just sit there and muck around, learn some of the recoil of the guns, try and compare some things together and see what's actually good, what's bad, or just get some general practice in. Now, I know this is not the perfect test range in the world. It definitely will need some things to work on. As you can see here on the wall, there definitely are some things that need to be worked on. Now, the main menu of this game is pretty straightforward, where it gives you options for quickly joining a couple of games, going to the test range, or even simply go through the server browser. Unfortunately, because the game is not live, but you will be in the next 7 days again, you'll be able to see some more details and options in there. The game actually has stats in this game as well, so you can just go through and have a look at what you've done in the game so far, and just get some overall statistics as well. Also, there is the option to actually make clans as well. And the way you go about that is you have to reach a certain level in the game before you can put up your own image, name and tag, and then create it. And then simply, I'm not sure how the process goes in regards to how you invite people, but hopefully you can actually browse maybe something a bit like Battlelog, where you can go find other platoons, where you can socialize with, challenge to different games, or even more. Now, I don't expect something that's simply a blueprint copy of Battle Book, aka Battlelog, but it definitely gave some networking in regards to how people can network, play together, and organizing games. Maybe even when you have a look at the platoon in the game, maybe there's like a little short description that you can put there and ways of how to contact them, so that people could probably just put a quick Discord link there, and it's as easy as that. The game also has 6 different classes that you can choose from. First being the leader, assault, medic, engineer, support, and recon. Now, most of them were pretty straightforward in regards to what they could do. But to summarize, they all had the unique abilities, which the assault and the leader had some utility in regards to getting to places and spotting out things, where support had ammo, the medic had the ability to throw down health, engineer had some utilities in regards to fighting vehicles as well as supporting them, and what I found was very interesting, there was actually a suicide vest, which explained for some deaths that I had. One thing I found which was really useful was actually the C4, and not for actually killing people, but getting in between from building to building. Sometimes it was just easier, instead of crossing the street and using smoke nades, by using the C4 to make a breach in the wall so you could get to the other building across and then continue doing your job, which is killing the enemy and capturing the points. Although, in saying that, Conquest was not the only exclusive mode in this game. There was Rush, there was also TDM, and I think there might have been a couple of others that I didn't see in there, which I didn't get a chance to play, but there was definitely infantry only modes, so you could play some of these bigger maps and just not having to worry about vehicles. But because I'm a Battlefield boy, I do like my vehicles, and if you are watching my channel, you all know that I love my vehicles. But I started out as a FPS gamer, so it's pretty straightforward that I do like solid and good infantry gameplay, which is what this game has. Also, squads in this game are all up to 8 players in a single squad, which is really up to with the day and times. Now, one thing that I really have a personal gripe with Battlefield is going down from 5 to 4 players per squad. Yeah, I'm sure that's how Battlefield 3 worked, but as soon as the maps get bigger and bigger and bigger, it just makes more sense to have large scale squads. And because of all the social aspects in these games, I generally do have a group of people that I like to generally play with. And also, if you already know, I am a bit of a competitive player in regards to these kind of like style of games. So having these large squads, these large teams, it just makes sense to have squads that are quite large in scale, but not to the point where you have like 20 people in a single squad. That seems a little bit silly, because I do think squad wiping is a very significant thing, and I think it should stay in games. So if your squad gets completely wiped, it's your fault not working together, and you're going to have to start from back at base all over again, and make sure that you don't get squad wiped. So it gives some role in regards to being a little bit of a rat or a spawn point. As you can see here, there is actually night mode maps, and there is some night vision in regards to infantry gameplay, and it's not completely unenjoyable. It gave something different and a little bit of different light to the game, pun intended, accidentally. So you're able to pick what kind of map that you want to play next in between rounds, and you also have the option if you want to do day or night. As far as the weather is in this game, I'm always about having better visuals in games, because once again, that competitive nature, I think about replayability and balance. It's actually not too bad. So like the fact that there's rain particles, I don't think there's actually fog in this game, but just having some kind of aspect of that, so that each time you play a certain map, it gives you just a little bit of a different feel every time around and things to consider. I do quite enjoy this game for what it is, and I'm pretty sure I've said this several times, maybe not in my own videos, but definitely to my friend group as a whole. I would rather play a game that's functional, the textures are dumbed down, but the gameplay works, the core mechanics work, replayability is there, and this is what BattleBit actually does. Now, some other things to cover about the game mechanics as well is there is a bleed out system, which I think I probably did mention before. So after you get into a particular fight or take a certain amount of damage, etc., you have to re-bandage yourself, then start shooting again. I'm not sure if it's when you have low HP, but someone that's a bit more experienced with BattleBit could probably tell you the answer for that and give you a bit more in depth. One thing I probably like is being able to have some aggressive plays, but not to the point where you can completely just walk in and use a 200 mag and destroy everything. So it does give you something to think about, but it is what it is. It's a game that's borrowing concepts from slower paced games like Squad or Hell Let Loose, and then it does have slight bit of touch to what you would say with Battlefield being a little bit more fast-paced in regards to some of the movement, and generally a little bit of the gunplay, how it works as well. Now, onto the actual tanks and vehicles in this game. I really do have a gripe with how the tanks move in this game. they almost feel like a car with like no handbrake or brakes at all. And it's a little bit disorientating. So like how you move back and forward, it just doesn't feel right in regards to any Battlefield game that I've ever played. I really haven't actually had a chance to drive any of their heavy vehicles in squad, so I'm not sure how they handle exactly compared to that. But I like, personally, a little bit of a blend between both arcade and these milsim shooters, because technically that's what Battlefield kinda is in some way, but let's be real, hands down, if you had to pick between one or the other, Battlefield is not a milsim game, so please do not think that's what I'm exactly trying to say. Anyway, before I got sidetracked a little bit there, I would, in summary, the movement for the tanks need a bit more work. Also, the fact of how easy it is to be flipped in the vehicle as well needs to be worked on. Also, on top of that, I would like to be some more utility in regards to how the tank works, so having actually depth in what loadout there is in the vehicle. At the moment, there isn't really much to that. It's just what you have in the base game at the moment. But I do like the fact that you can run 2 different types of shell. But I would like some more versatility in depth to what countermeasures that you could be using in the game, as well as actually customizing. So, for example, maybe you could switch out LMG with canister shells, or the different type of shells that you have instead of having armor-piercing shells, which might be like the general overall shell. You could have like Sabo rounds, which are more specialized in taking out vehicles, and HE rounds, but you're not allowed to have 3 types of shells. You have to pick 2 shells that you want to use, and that's what you got. Also, one thing that could use a little bit of a rework is the UI. I do see that there is the shells supply that you have on the left hand side, along with how much countermeasures you have, and also the degrees and angles and all that. But like some small things, like when the tank's actually reloading, like the counter, maybe that could be flashing red and white so that you can kind of tell that it is still reloading, so that you don't have to quick look over there all the time. You can kind of get a rough feel for how long the time it is taking to load and if it's still actually going. Maybe the placement of it where the ammo is on the HUD as well. Maybe the classic left or right side of the bottom of the screen. But those are just really small things that are really... Anyway guys, I don't want to go into like a 40-minute video of this, so I'm going to cut it off a bit short here. Some of the things that I didn't really bring up as well is the game actually has a scoreboard, unlike 2042. The game developed a drag system in the game, so you can move dead bodies to a place where it's easier to revive them with less risk. Before Battlefield, again, eat a dick. The game also has a turn on feature for vehicles, so you have to actually fire up the engine, so you can't just get into it and just go off and fly away into the horizon. So you have to power it up and then start driving off. Also, you need to hold down a button and wait for an extended period of time before getting in. Gets a bit annoying for me given my zoomer mindset. Another thing, I'm not sure if the IFV has tow missiles. I would like some tow missiles in the game, especially if they're going to introduce aircraft, which leads me to my next comment. They have said that they've considered putting choppers in the game. Just please make sure that it's not anything like Battlefield 3 and we have skybox camping. Please don't make that a thing. The nade physics could also use a little bit more of a work. It feels a little bit clunky, and I honestly think I can throw a grenade a lot further than how much you throw in this game, and I would consider myself a general thrower, and yeah, I think it just needs a little bit more rework. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed this video today. Smash that like button if you really enjoyed this content, and leave some comments below of what you thought of today, or some things that I maybe might have missed. So, given this is not my main game of choice, I would totally love anyone that's a diehard of this game to just throw some cool stuff in below in the comments section that I never knew about the game. I would love to get in touch with this community a bit more. And yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.